Most people will never be rich, not because they're unlucky, not because they weren't born into the right family, but because they're too soft. They chase comfort like it's oxygen. They need it, they crave it, they protect it, like their life depends on it. But that's exactly why they stay broke, stuck, average. Comfort is the killer of greatness. And until you understand that, until you're willing to break up with it violently, you'll never see real wealth. You'll keep lying to yourself with pretty words and fake plans, but deep down, you'll know you've been playing small. So this isn't for the people who want to try. This is for the ones who are ready to bleed for it, to kill comfort, to destroy the version of themselves that settles. Because becoming super wealthy isn't about playing it safe, it's about going to war with your own excuses. Every single day, comfort is the cancer that kills potential. The reason most people never reach wealth is because they're addicted to comfort. They wake up late because it feels good, they scroll on their phones because it's easy, they skip the gym because it's cold outside, they stay in jobs they hate because the paycheck is consistent. Everything about their life is a constant pursuit of comfort, and they wonder why they feel stuck. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. The moment you start choosing what feels good instead of what makes you grow, you start decaying. You start becoming soft, complacent, forgettable. You lose that hunger, you lose that fire, and soon you become another average guy with average results, wondering where it all went wrong. The truth is, becoming super wealthy requires you to go through hell, and comfort will never take you there. It keeps you soft, it gives you excuses, it blinds you from reality, because it whispers lies in your ear. It tells you you're fine, that you can start tomorrow, that you're not that bad, that maybe it'll work out eventually. But that's the trap. Comfort is the most dangerous drug on earth, because it doesn't hit you all at once. It kills slowly. It creeps into your habits, into your environment, into your expectations, until you no longer recognize who you are. And by the time you realize what you've become, years have already passed. And the scariest part, comfort feels safe. It feels normal. Everyone around you is addicted to it too, so nobody calls you out. You become surrounded by mediocrity, by low standards, by people who justify your weakness. And it becomes your identity, your default state. You can't grow when you're surrounded by people who are okay staying the same. You can't evolve when your environment constantly reinforces comfort. That's why wealth isn't just about money, it's about war. War against your mind, war against your instincts, war against comfort. And the only way to win is through discipline, through choosing pain, through doing the hard things every single day without compromise. Most people will never become rich, not because they're dumb, but because they can't detach from comfort. They would rather feel good in the moment than win in the long run. They trade their potential for pleasure, their goals for convenience, their future for a few more minutes in bed. You can't become wealthy if you're still seduced by comfort. The gym has to become more familiar than the couch. Sales calls more familiar than Netflix. Cold showers more familiar than warm excuses. This isn't about balance. It's about obsession. About training yourself to thrive in discomfort, to love the pain, to crave it, because that pain means you're growing. That discomfort means you're leveling up. Every time you break the pattern of comfort, you step closer to who you're supposed to become. You stop being a slave to your emotions. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop tolerating mediocrity, and you start becoming dangerous. You start becoming that person who gets results no matter what. Because you're not acting based on how you feel, you're acting based on who you want to be. And the moment you start choosing discomfort on purpose, everything changes. Your mindset shifts, your discipline compounds, your confidence multiplies, and wealth starts chasing you. Because you've built the one thing most people never will: resilience. You don't fold when it's hard. You don't retreat when it hurts. You don't need motivation. You operate like a machine. That's the difference between people who win and people who dream. The dreamers want to feel good. The winners want to feel the burn, because they know that burn is the signal that they're moving in the right direction. You don't need a plan, you need execution. Everyone's obsessed with planning, with perfect strategies, with lining everything up before taking the first step. But the truth is, most people hide behind planning because they're afraid to execute. They convince themselves they're being productive, but they're really just procrastinating in disguise. They think they need another course, another book, another 6-month roadmap before they launch. But wealth doesn't come to planners, it comes to executors. The person who takes messy action every single day will always beat the person with the perfect plan and zero action. That's the reality. In this game, speed is everything. Momentum is everything. You don't need more time, you need more movement, you need more action. Even if it's ugly, even if it's chaotic, even if you fail 10 times in a row. Because failure in motion is 1,000 times better than being stuck in your own head thinking about your 10-year vision. You don't need to know step 100. You just need to take step 1. You'll figure out the rest by doing, by adjusting, by learning through execution. That's how wealth is built, through action, adaptation, and obsession with improvement. Not by reading more PDFs, not by watching more seminars. That stuff is preparation. And preparation without execution is wasted potential. You can't plan your way to wealth. You have to earn it through action, through making offers, through building things, through selling, through failing and getting back up. Every time you wait to feel ready, someone else is executing while you hesitate. Someone else is capturing the market. Someone else is making the money you're dreaming about because they decided to go while you decided to think. Thinking won't make you rich. Movement will. Action creates clarity. Execution creates momentum. And momentum creates results. The sooner you realize that no one cares about your idea unless you bring it to life, the faster you'll grow. Wealthy people aren't smarter than you. They just execute relentlessly. They test, they launch, they pivot, they sell, they outwork you. Not in theory, in reality. While you're stuck in your head, they're stacking cash in real life. That's the game. Action beats ideas. Execution beats intelligence. Movement beats potential. It doesn't matter how good your plan is if you're not willing to put in the reps, to make the calls, to build the product, to pitch the offer, to launch the thing. So stop worshiping plans. Start building momentum. Forget perfection. Start publishing. Start selling. Start moving. Because you'll never feel fully ready. But action doesn't wait, and wealth doesn't wait. Every day you delay is a day further from freedom. Every excuse is another dollar left on the table. So burn the perfect plan. Move now. Learn fast. Adapt faster. Execute without hesitation. That's how you win. You don't need a plan, you need execution. Everyone's obsessed with planning, with perfect strategies, with lining everything up before taking the first step. But the truth is, most people hide behind planning because they're afraid to execute. They convince themselves they're being productive, but they're really just procrastinating in disguise. They think they need another course, another book, another 6-month roadmap before they launch. But wealth doesn't come to planners, it comes to executors. The person who takes messy action every single day will always beat the person with the perfect plan and zero action. That's the reality. In this game, speed is everything. Momentum is everything. You don't need more time, you need more movement. You need more action. Even if it's ugly, even if it's chaotic, even if you fail 10 times in a row. Because failure in motion is 1,000 times better than being stuck in your own head thinking about your 10-year vision. You don't need to know step 100. You just need to take step 1. You'll figure out the rest by doing, by adjusting, by learning through execution. That's how wealth is built. Through action, adaptation, and obsession with improvement. Not by reading more PDFs, not by watching more seminars. That stuff is preparation. And preparation without execution is wasted potential. You can't plan your way to wealth. You have to earn it through action, through making offers, through building things, through selling, through failing, and getting back up. Every time you wait to feel ready, someone else is executing while you hesitate. Someone else is capturing the market. Someone else is making the money you're dreaming about because they decided to go while you decided to think. Thinking won't make you rich. Movement will. Action creates clarity. Execution creates momentum, and momentum creates results. The sooner you realize that no one cares about your idea unless you bring it to life, the faster you'll grow. Wealthy people aren't smarter than you. They just execute relentlessly. They test, they launch, they pivot, they sell, they outwork you. Not in theory, in reality. While you're stuck in your head, they're stacking cash in real life. That's the game. Action beats ideas. Execution beats intelligence. Movement beats potential. It doesn't matter how good your plan is if you're not willing to put in the reps, to make the calls, to build the product, to pitch the offer, to launch the thing. So stop worshiping plans. Start building momentum. Forget perfection. Start publishing. Start selling. Start moving. Because you'll never feel fully ready. But action doesn't wait. And wealth doesn't wait. Every day you delay is a day further from freedom. Every excuse is another dollar left on the table. So burn the perfect plan. Move now. Learn fast. Adapt faster. Execute without hesitation. That's how you win.
If you're broke, your only focus should be skill acquisition. If your bank account is empty, your mind better be full of hunger, full of obsession, full of skill building. Because if you're broke and still scrolling, still watching Netflix, still arguing with people who aren't even where you want to be, you deserve the situation you're in. Money doesn't just land in your lap, it follows skill, not wishes, not potential, skill. In this new world, you don't need permission, you need capability. You don't need luck, you need leverage. And the fastest way to gain leverage is to become undeniably good at something valuable. Copywriting, sales, media buying, editing, coding, branding, storytelling, skills that move markets, skills that solve problems, skills that make people stop and pay attention. If you're broke, don't even think about anything else. No distractions, no opinions, no fake flexes, just mastery. Because when you become a master of a valuable skill, the world has no choice but to pay you. Companies chase you, clients line up, people refer you. You get to name your price. You stop begging for jobs and start building income on demand. But most people never get there because they don't want to suck first. They don't want to be bad at something before they get good. They try something for a week, quit because they don't get results, and go back to complaining about how the system is rigged. But if you're truly broke, your only priority should be becoming lethal at one skill. You don't need 10 side hustles. You don't need passive income. You need one high income skill and tunnel vision. Learn it, practice it, bleed for it. Wake up thinking about it. Fall asleep analyzing it. Sacrifice comfort to master it. Because once you have that skill, no one can take it from you. You become dangerous. You can close deals, start businesses, land contracts, or freelance on your terms. You gain freedom, you gain options, and money starts chasing you instead of you chasing it. But that starts with the decision to focus, to go all in, to stop pretending you're busy, and actually dedicate every waking hour to mastery. Buy the courses, watch the tutorials, build the portfolio, work for free at first if you have to, because the point isn't short-term cash, it's long-term leverage. When you build a skill, you build equity in yourself, it compounds, your knowledge stacks. Your reputation grows, your confidence explodes, and that's how you escape being broke, not with hacks, but with competence. But you have to be honest with yourself. Are you really putting in the reps? Or are you really learning? Or are you just consuming and feeling productive without doing anything that actually moves you forward? Skill building is painful, it's boring, it's lonely, but that pain is the price. And that price is always cheaper than staying broke. You should be obsessed with getting so good they can't ignore you. You should be measuring progress weekly. You should be putting in hours when everyone else is wasting time. Because when you stack skills, you stack power. And power buys freedom. And freedom is what this game is about. The world pays you based on the problems you solve. Nobody cares how hard you work. Nobody cares how many hours you grind unless those hours are solving a real problem. That's the brutal truth. The market is cold. It's heartless. It doesn't reward effort. It rewards outcomes, results, value. That's it. If you want to get rich, you need to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a problem solver. What pain exists in your market? What frustrations do people face every single day? What's broken, inefficient, slow, outdated, expensive? That's where your opportunity lives. That's where wealth is created. Every dollar you want is currently in someone else's pocket. They'll only give it to you if you solve a big enough problem for them. That's business. That's life. That's the game. And most people lose because they're stuck thinking about themselves, their story, their journey, their grind. But no one's gonna pay you just because you want success. They pay you when you fix something for them. Save them time, save them money, make them feel something, take away a headache, eliminate a frustration. That's where money flows. If you want more income, solve a bigger problem. And don't just solve it better than anyone else. Get obsessed with outcomes, with speed, with quality, with results. Your success is directly proportional to how useful you are to other people. That's why rich people aren't always smarter. They're just more focused on value. They build systems, products, offers that help others solve real problems, and in return, they get paid again and again and again. Look at every business around you, every successful entrepreneur. They found a pain point, then built a solution. That's the blueprint. Not passion, not inspiration, value. Solve pain, get paid. And if you want to get paid more, solve it for more people. That's called scale. Build a system that solves the problem while you sleep. Build an offer that duplicates results without your constant input. That's how money becomes exponential. But it starts with empathy, with studying your market, with listening more than talking, with obsessing over what people complain about, what they can't find, what they wish existed, and then building it, delivering it, selling it, improving it. Because when you solve a real problem, you don't need to convince people. They chase you, they beg you, they promote you. That's the edge. That's how you escape the noise, not by shouting louder, but by being the only one who actually solves it. So stop posting just to post. Stop building offers just because they're trending. Start solving problems that matter. Find the pain that no one's addressing and go all in on being the best solution. That's where the money lives. That's how wealth is built. Not with noise, with usefulness. Be so valuable the world can't afford to ignore you. Procrastination is disguised fear. You tell yourself you're just waiting for the right moment, that you'll start tomorrow, that you're not ready yet. But that's not the truth. The truth is you're scared. You're terrified of failure. You're terrified of looking stupid. You're terrified of starting something and realizing you're not as good as you thought you were. And instead of admitting that fear, you mask it with procrastination. You convince yourself you need more time, more clarity, more resources, but none of that matters if you don't take the first step. The biggest killer of dreams is not failure, it's hesitation. That moment when you hesitate, when you doubt, when you overthink, you rob yourself of momentum. You let your mind run the show, and your mind is built for survival, not success. It wants safety, it wants predictability, it wants comfort. And anything that threatens that, anything risky, anything unknown, anything uncomfortable, it tries to delay, so it feeds you justifications. It gives you excuses that sound smart but are really just fear in disguise. You tell yourself you're being strategic, that you're being cautious, that you're waiting for things to align, but you're just scared to act, scared to start, scared to be seen trying. And the longer you wait, the more that fear grows. It doesn't go away. It tightens its grip. It wraps around your potential like chains. And every day you don't act, you lose time, you lose power, you lose momentum. Procrastination isn't a harmless habit. It's a silent killer. It convinces you that you've got time, but you don't. Every second you waste could be the second that changes everything. Every day you sit on the sidelines is another day someone else takes what could have been yours. Someone else posts, someone else launches, someone else gets the sale. And you're still sitting there thinking about starting. You don't need more time, you need more courage. You need to act despite the fear. You need to hit publish when it's not perfect. Make the call when your voice is shaking. Launch the product when it still has bugs. Because speed beats perfection, momentum beats ideas, and action kills fear. The moment you stop hesitating and start executing, you weaken the grip fear has on you. You start reprogramming your brain. You teach it that it's okay to move even when you're unsure, that it's okay to fail forward. And every time you do that, you build confidence. Not fake confidence from quotes, but real confidence from doing the thing. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to be in charge. You can feel it and still move. That's what separates winners. Not that they don't feel fear, but that they don't bow to it. They use it as a compass. If something scares them, they know that's exactly where they need to go. So the next time you catch yourself procrastinating, call it out. Don't let it hide behind logic. Strip it down. Ask yourself what you're really afraid of, and then go straight at it. Because freedom lives on the other side of that fear. Everything you want, the money, the impact, the power, it's behind the door you've been too scared to open, and you'll never walk through it until you stop delaying and start daring. You don't need perfect timing. You need bravery.
You need to stop lying to yourself about why you're waiting. You're not waiting, you're hiding. And hiding never made anyone rich.
Proximity to winners changes your standards. You will never rise above the standards of the people you surround yourself with. Your environment is either your engine or your anchor. And the truth is, most people are drowning in mediocrity because they're addicted to average company. Their friends waste time, so they waste time. Their friends think small, so they think small. Their friends are broke and bitter, so they normalize being broke and bitter. It's not conscious, it's not obvious. It's slow, like erosion. Your standards slowly decay until you don't even realize how much you've settled. You stop pushing, you stop striving, you stop dreaming big. Because the people around you don't expect it, don't chase it, don't reflect it. That's why proximity is power. When you're around winners, real winners, everything changes. Your goals get bigger, your execution gets sharper, your tolerance for bullshit disappears. Because high performers won't let you slack. They won't let you play small. Their energy infects you, their standards elevate you. Their presence exposes you, and that's a good thing. You need to be exposed. You need to be uncomfortable. You need to feel like the dumbest person in the room, because that's how you grow. That's how you stretch. That's how you evolve. Being around winners forces you to level up or get left behind. They move faster, think clearer, speak differently. They don't waste time. They don't gossip. They don't entertain mediocrity. And being around that energy either elevates you or ejects you. If you can't handle it, you'll fade. But if you're ready, you'll rise. You'll absorb their mindset. You'll mimic their habits. You'll internalize their expectations. And soon, what once felt impossible starts to feel normal. Not because it got easier, but because your standards caught up. That's the real secret to growth. It's not just hustle, it's environment. You can hustle all day long, but if you're surrounded by losers, you'll still cap your potential. You'll still doubt yourself. You'll still settle, because no one's holding you accountable to more. But when you put yourself in rooms where you're the underdog, the beginner, the one with the most to learn, that's where the real elevation happens. You start seeing life differently, you start attacking your goals differently, you start seeing wealth as your baseline, not your dream. And that shift is everything. Because once you see what's possible, you can't unsee it. Once you feel that pace, that pressure, that excellence, you'll never go back to the old you. You'll never be able to tolerate low-effort conversations. You'll never be able to sit through another meaningless night out, because you've tasted what it's like to be around killers, around sharks, around people who wake up every day with fire in their eyes and war in their hearts. And that energy becomes yours. It becomes your new normal. But you have to seek it. You have to put yourself in those rooms. You have to pay to get in if you have to. You have to leave people behind if you have to. Because your future is too expensive to spend it around people who aren't going anywhere. The cost of staying around average is your greatness. And that's a price too high to pay. So find the winners. Get around them. Learn from them. Work for them. Hunt them down. Because when you change your environment, you change your expectations. And when you change your expectations, you change your life. School teaches obedience, not wealth. From the moment you're a child, you're plugged into a system that was never built to make you rich. It was built to make you obedient. You're told when to wake up, when to eat, when to ask for permission, when to speak, when to be quiet. You're judged by your ability to memorize irrelevant facts and regurgitate them under time pressure. You're not trained to think, you're trained to comply. You're trained to sit still, follow rules, fear authority, and wait for instructions. The very traits that build true wealth, creativity, risk-taking, problem-solving, leadership, are suppressed in school. You're not rewarded for original thinking. You're punished for stepping out of line. And most people don't even realize it. They go through 12 years of this conditioning and come out believing that playing it safe is noble, that following the rules is success, that asking for permission is how life works. But the real world doesn't pay you for obedience. It pays you for value, for boldness, for innovation, for taking ownership. No one gets rich by being compliant. You don't build a life of freedom by waiting for a report card. Yet school teaches you to fear failure, even though failure is the currency of success. It teaches you to fit in, when wealth demands that you stand out. It teaches you to seek approval, when getting rich is about going against the grain. You're taught to be a cog in the machine, not the one who builds it. You're taught to chase degrees, not results. And then you're thrown into the world, in debt, confused and scared, wondering why you feel lost. It's not your fault, it's by design. The system doesn't want thinkers, it wants workers. And if you don't wake up, you'll spend your life building someone else's dream because you never learned how to build your own. The irony is, the people teaching you about success have never built anything themselves. They talk about economics, but don't invest. They talk about business, but never started one. They talk about careers, but never took a real risk. And you trust them with your future. That's the trap. You're conditioned to believe credentials matter more than results. That safety is better than freedom. That struggle is noble if it's within the system. But wealth requires rebellion. It requires you to break the script, to question everything you've been taught, to unlearn before you learn. The classroom won't teach you how to sell, how to market, how to negotiate, how to lead, how to build capital, how to master your time. It won't teach you how to be relentless, how to navigate failure, how to think independently. It teaches you how to follow. And you wonder why the kids with the best grades end up working for the ones who dropped out. Because school rewards memorization, but the world rewards execution. School rewards obedience, but the world rewards courage. School trains you for the test, but life is not a test, it's a war. If you're relying on that system to make you rich, you're already behind. You have to self-educate. You have to build real skills. You have to get in the trenches. Learn from those who are actually doing it, not those who just talk about it. Read the right books, watch the right people, study how money moves, study how power works, and realize that school was never designed to teach you any of that. Its job was to create employees. Your job is to escape that programming. And that takes awareness. That takes fire. That takes the willingness to risk being different. If you want to be wealthy, you can't play by the same rules that keep everyone else poor. You can't let the system define your limits. You have to break it, rebuild it, and write your own.
Discipline is louder than motivation. Motivation is that high you get from a YouTube video at 2 a.m. It's the sudden spark that makes you write down goals and dream big for 20 minutes before going right back to doing nothing. Motivation feels good, but it's weak, it's unreliable, it shows up when it wants, and disappears when you need it most. That's why relying on motivation is why most people fail. They're inspired when it's easy, but fold when it's hard. They work when it's exciting, but vanish when it's boring. They start projects and never finish. They make plans and never execute, because they built their drive on something that isn't built to last. Discipline is what separates the successful from the dreamers. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't wait to be in the mood. Discipline shows up every day no matter what. It's cold, it's mechanical, it's not sexy, but it's what gets the job done. Every time you act with discipline, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Not the version of you that wants to change, but the version of you who actually does. Discipline builds consistency, and consistency builds results. It's easy to go hard once, it's easy to be motivated for a week, but doing it every day when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one's validating you, that's where you separate. That's where greatness is forged. The gym sessions you didn't want to go to, the sales calls you didn't feel like making, the content you posted when you felt empty, the work you did in silence, that's what stacks, that's what compounds. Discipline creates identity, because when you train yourself to act regardless of how you feel, you become a weapon. Your emotions stop controlling you, your excuses die, you stop negotiating with laziness, you stop relying on inspiration, you become the type of person who gets it done, no matter the weather, no matter the noise, no matter the resistance, and that's what success responds to. Not feelings, not hype, but consistency, repetition, relentless execution. It's not the loudest who win, it's the most consistent. It's not the most talented, it's the most disciplined. You think millionaires feel motivated every day. They don't. They just move regardless. They've trained themselves to act. Their floor is most people's ceiling, because they're not waiting to feel good to work. They know the work is what makes them feel good. That shift is everything. When you stop depending on motivation and start depending on discipline, your power multiplies. You get things done on command. You show up when it's ugly. You execute through chaos. And suddenly the things that seemed impossible become inevitable, because you're doing what others won't, long enough to get what others can't. Motivation fades. Discipline compounds. Motivation is noise. Discipline is signal. Motivation gets you started. Discipline gets you paid. And if you want to be wealthy, you have to train discipline like a muscle. You have to build routines that don't break, systems that keep you sharp, habits that reinforce your standard, and most of all, a mindset that doesn't negotiate. Because discipline is the foundation, it's the edge, it's the separator, and it's the reason why the discipline will always dominate the motivated. You must sacrifice now, or suffer later. Every decision you make is a trade, a bet, a choice between immediate comfort and long-term power. And most people lose that bet because they can't say no to pleasure. They can't say no to the party. They can't say no to the weekend. They can't say no to the distraction. And what they don't realize is that every yes to comfort is a no to growth. Every shortcut comes with a price. Every delay comes with interest. You think you're avoiding pain, but you're really just postponing it. You're not escaping sacrifice. You're just stacking it into the future where it multiplies. If you don't choose to sacrifice now, you will suffer later. That suffering will show up in regret, in missed opportunities, in being stuck in a job you hate, in watching others live the life you could have built, in waking up one day realizing you were never the main character in your own story, just a spectator. Sacrifice is unavoidable. The only question is whether you'll sacrifice your comfort today or your freedom tomorrow. And freedom costs a lot. It costs time. It costs energy. It costs relationships. It costs peace. It costs being misunderstood. But that's the price of greatness. That's the toll you pay to build a life most people only dream about. You don't get both. You don't get to live like everyone else now and expect to live like no one else later. You either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And the longer you delay that decision, the more it owns you. Sacrifice isn't just about working harder. It's about becoming someone different. Someone willing to be alone, willing to outwork everyone, willing to put their phone down, willing to disappear for months, willing to break out of the norm. You won't be invited to every event. You won't be liked by everyone. You won't get the dopamine rush from every scroll. But you will build something real. You will build strength. You will build respect. You will build leverage. And while everyone else is busy chasing cheap highs, you'll be building real power, real wealth, real identity. And that only happens when you stop chasing pleasure and start chasing purpose. You look at every distraction as a test. You look at every indulgence as weakness. You look at every sacrifice as an investment, because that's what it is, a seed. And the longer you water it, the more it grows. But if you never plant it, you never harvest. That's why it's not about what you want. It's about what you're willing to give up to get it. You say you want millions, but do you want it more than sleep? Do you want it more than validation? Do you want it more than pleasure? Do you want it more than comfort? Because that's the price. And most people don't want it bad enough. They want to look rich, not be rich. They want the lifestyle, not the work. They want the rewards, not the responsibility. And that's why they lose. You win by paying the price up front, by delaying gratification,
by doing the hard things now, so life gets easier later. Because life will test you. It will ask for your sacrifice one way or another. And if you don't give it willingly, it will take it by force, through pain, through regret, through loss. So choose your pain, choose your sacrifice, choose your future while you still have the chance to build it. Wealth is a byproduct of obsession, not balance. Balance is the lie average people tell themselves to justify their lack of results. They say they want success, but not if it costs too much. They want wealth, but they also want comfort and free time and weekends and mental health days. They want to feel good while building something great, and that's not how it works. You don't get to be balanced in the beginning. You don't get to have it all at once. You have to be obsessed, tunnel vision, all in. Eat, sleep, breathe your mission. Because obsession builds momentum. Obsession removes distractions. Obsession makes you dangerous. You look at anyone who's ever built something extraordinary, and they all have one thing in common. They were unbalanced as hell. They sacrificed sleep, relationships, parties, holidays, not because they hated those things, but because they were possessed by a vision, a mission, a goal that mattered more than fitting in. And that's what most people are missing. They're trying to build an empire with the mindset of a part-timer. They want world-class results with weekend effort. They say they're committed, but they're really just interested. Interested people do it when it's easy. Obsessed people do it no matter what. Obsession rewires your brain. You don't even see the distractions anymore. You don't need balance because you've already decided what matters. You've burned the boats. You've cut off the exit. You've gone all in. That's where the breakthroughs happen. That's where the real success lives. In that space where everyone else taps out because it's too much, too extreme, too unhealthy. But what's truly unhealthy is living your whole life playing it safe. Waking up at 40, realizing you never gave it everything. That's the real sickness. Balance sounds good, but greatness sounds better. Balance is for those who already won, for those maintaining. But if you're still building, still climbing, still chasing your first million, your first breakthrough, your first business, you don't need balance. You need obsession. You need discipline. You need unreasonable focus. That's what moves the needle. That's what puts you in rooms others only dream about. The obsession is what makes you work when you're tired, study when you're drained, launch when it's not perfect, keep going when no one's watching. And it's not toxic, it's necessary. You don't create anything extraordinary by treating it like a side hustle. You go deep. You become consumed. You fall in love with the process so hard that the results are inevitable. And yes, people will call you extreme. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say you're doing too much. But that's exactly how you know you're on the right path. Because those comments never come from people ahead of you. They come from the ones too scared to go all in themselves. The ones who settled. The ones who quit. Let them talk. While they talk, you build. While they watch, you work. And when you finally arrive, when the money comes, the power comes, the freedom comes, you'll realize you never needed balance. You needed obsession. And obsession is what gave you everything. Balance never could. If you want to be super wealthy, you have to understand this. Balance is a reward, not a requirement. You earn balance after you've built the life you want, not before. You don't get peace without paying the price and pressure. You don't get freedom without first getting obsessed. Most people will never get there because they try to sprinkle success into a lifestyle designed for comfort. But the ones who make it, the ones who dominate, are the ones who go dark, who lock in, who become maniacs for the mission. That kind of obsession makes you unstoppable. That kind of obsession builds empires. That kind of obsession will take you where balance never could. So don't aim to be balanced. Aim to be possessed. Because if you want what few have, you have to do what almost none will. And that starts with burning every excuse, every distraction, and every lie that says you need to take it easy. Take it personal, take it seriously, and take it all the way.